Hey guys, Jack here. Stick around after today's episode to hear how new clients can save 50% on AgYield's full suite of consulting and technology for 2025. This exclusive offer is available now until April 1st. Don't miss out. Terms and conditions apply. Check out the video description to learn more.
Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, March 28th, and this is the AgYield War Room. Dan Dempsey, and I'll be moderating today's session. As always, if you get any questions or comments, please feel free to drop us a line in the chat area, and we'll be sure to get to it during the show. Overnight markets here: May corn down 4 3/4 at 445 1/4. May soybeans down 3 1/2 at 1013 1/4, and May Chicago wheat was down 9 at 523. This morning, we got some core inflation data out, 2.8%, which was hotter than expected. That's up 0.4%, which was slightly higher than the estimates. Outside markets were pretty quiet on the news. We kind of broke 100 in the Dow. We're down 50 right now, so nothing crazy there. We're going to put a bow on the week here, guys. Obviously, it feels like everybody's ready for Monday. We're going to have a big USDA report, obviously planning intentions, quarterly stocks. So that should certainly be a pretty interesting morning. We generally have pretty wild market moves. So we're looking forward to that. Yesterday, there's more news out. President Trump directing the fuel and oil industries to get together on biofuels. So I think, you saw a nice pop in bean oil yesterday on the back end of good export sales. And then obviously I think they're excited about the potential for some guidance coming down from those two groups, which I think was interesting too, that President Trump's, using industry leaders to come together on some sort of an agreement, and guidance versus just, passing down whatever mandates they're looking at. So hopefully there's something good that comes out of that deal. But outside of that, like I said, nothing real fresh in the way of news. I guess, Justin, maybe just a few thoughts here as we go into the weekend, and then we'll throw around the room.
Yeah, obviously we've talked about it a lot, but let's see what the report says. And I've talked to a lot of people that I respect in the industry that have been around for a long time, traded a lot, and I think we're all, might have different opinions, but kind of on the same consensus, which is like, let's see what the report says. Let's see what. I don't think a lot of people have a lot of chips at play. There's people that I respect that have widely different views at this point, but don't have a position. So I've heard traders talk 96 plus million corn acres and 93 or less. So to give you a perspective, it's a really interesting year. Usually I feel like we have a really good feel for, kind of where we're going. I think definitely corn acres are higher, but as far as like, how reliable I think it's really tough this year because of all the factors that we've talked about on the show: cost of production, working capital issues, crop insurance, farm bill payments. I think there's a lot at play here. So I think you really have to have an open mind. And I think I'm more convinced now than ever that there's just so much money on the sidelines waiting to see how the next 2 weeks pan out. So as a grower, as a trader, you're like, let's just see where it goes. As a grower, if you've got crop insurance, you have to really, in my opinion, you have to really stay disciplined and be like, here's what I have. I can't get sucked into making a bad decision. That's, yeah. We've kind of said different ways, but we've been harping on this. You just got to really it's hard to do. You got to really be patient and just let the market tell you what to do. Realize where your floors are, where crop insurance kicks in, where all these things happen. And I think really tough time of year, end of March. A lot of times we see this report and it's faded. We could, corn's breaking right now. We could panic some people. We could get a 96 million acre number and close higher on the day. And, after all this, so this market is notorious for hurting the most amount of people. So I try to I'll probably get hurt. It just it's like a moth to the flame, but it's notorious for that. The smartest people I know don't have a position going into this report.
Yeah, Justin, this is kind of like a pseudo Ryland Justin type of question, but I mean, do you, in your opinion, can lower feed demand, which a lot of people are talking about, offset higher exports for stocks? I mean, what's your, because generally that stocks number can really get you. I mean, you could see a 300-400 million swing in the stocks.
Yeah, I think Dustin alluded to this in our letter, I think a week ago or within the last week, that the average stock estimate is assuming less feed demand, which maybe Riley can shed some light on that. I don't know if I'm on that page or not. I think the stock number is assuming less feed demand. So the surprise would be a lower number probably. And I think a lot of people in the industry are kind of thinking, you've seen on this break, you've seen basis levels really start to peak up. You've seen some interesting things that maybe people in the industry that are like the cash traders are thinking that the stock number is going to be more friendly than not, but we'll see.
Yeah, it was a good pop on a good pop in the East yesterday. We saw
for like 12-15 cents. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting. Like I said, it's this report's made to cause a lot of pain. So whatever you think, get ready to get punched in the nose. So,
right. What were you going to add to that?
No, I was just going to say just the trend as we've seen it right now. It's, it's always hard to say, but it just, as far as like the herd size, the cattle size of the latest hog and pig report, supplies are down. They're pretty tight. They're historically low. So it's hard to kind of fight, the idea that feed demand is going to be lower. You know what I mean? To what degree is yet to be seen. Month to month, it's going to fluctuate, especially things like, border closures, stifling imports of feeder cattle, as we see on the hog and pig report, lower supplies, much lower than, not much lower, but lower than expected, so it's going to be tough to sort out. And when does that demand start to build back? That is the big question in the cattle market right now, is when is that herd size going to start to expand? The catalyst for that is generally, good conditions and cheap feed prices. That's one piece of the puzzle. So, good question. I don't know the answer yet.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to see. That, obviously we're at, record highs in cattle and beef prices. And we're starting to see volatile swings in price action on a daily basis up here. And Justin, you've mentioned just dynamics of markets, that when you get into these new pricing environments, you're just susceptible to that. It's like what a 500 point move in the Dow used to be like, oh my, and then now it's like, well, those are kind of intraday type of swings and things like that. But Ryland, you're starting to see that in cattle.
Basis. And I'm not not predicting this by any means, so I want to put that very big asterisk out there. But a really smart trader that, he's in his 80s now, but that I kind of learned from growing up, friends of my grandfather, and just the kind of the old board of trade type cash traders, really successful guys, that when these markets would break out of a historic range, like they would go to 2 to 3x like the previous high. And I don't know if we're in that dynamic anymore by any means, but you can't roll out. We saw it in wheat, back in 2007, some of these years where, the old highs were 6 and they went to 18 or 20. So when you get to all-time highs, when you get to this really tight moment, you can't rule out anything, so I would just keep that in mind. Like, the markets can do whatever they want, especially with the money flow. I'm not predicting that at all with cattle or beef or anything like that, but markets, when they get unhinged and they get, through kind of all the levels that people are willing to sell, and you just run out of, you're that last 10% of people that can do something, it can get really, really crazy. So you look at like coffee or OJ or some of these markets that just went parabolic, it's because you just get down to that limited number of people that can actually do something. It can get crazy. So once you get to new levels, all bets are off. You don't know what that number is until you reach it.
Yeah, Ryan, what I know that the Packer game and things of that nature play a vital role in price establishment for the futures markets as well. But like where are we at on Packers and just the whole margin game in and of itself?
I mean, right now the consensus is Packers are losing money. I mean, they're paying record high prices. Obviously, beef prices are following in suit, but that's especially on the beef side, their margins are really tight. They're definitely gunning for it whenever they can. If there's if they have to pay sharply higher beef prices like we just kind of saw last week, I mean, and into this week, beef they want to get their beef as high as possible to sell to their end users, and there is a flow of like kind of inelastic demand for a lot of this. I mean, think of how many restaurant chains are out there serving burgers, so I mean, at this point, the Packer margins are tight, but we've seen it historically. They can lose a lot of money on that side of the business for a very long time, and it doesn't necessarily interrupt the direction or the flow of the futures. I mean, like they've got other sources of revenue. They've got pork, chicken. I mean, these are major companies. So
that's the thing, Rylan. Like those things become super inelastic in the short run. Look at egg prices, right? Like there's not, until you get people that are like, I will not buy steak, I will not buy ground beef. Like it can go to whatever price in the short run.
Yep.
Like long term, it fixes itself. Like high prices fix it. In the short run, it can do anything. Until Gibson's isn't going to have a steak on the menu.
Man.
Like it just doesn't happen, right? It just McDonald's isn't going to have a burger. Like that doesn't happen. So like there's inelastic demand until they price it where the consumer stops, which takes a time.
Right. And that's been that's been the big question mark, is where does the consumer say no? And obviously we're looking at wholesale prices. Wholesale prices will, are we trying to ration demand? Or is that what the goal is with these higher prices? I mean, because we are in a tight supply environment. But as we see, like, especially in the beef industry and what we're seeing right now, you're able to make a lot more with less. You look at the weight data, weights are up, production is up. So, I mean, we're starting to find ways to kind of counterbalance a lot of what's happening from a supply side, but it's just the price just keeps going up. So, I mean, I guess you do run into that. I don't know what that price is. I don't know if we need to see a 2014 like parabolic kind of rally, run everybody in, convince everybody this thing's going to the moon, and then the party's over. But I think that's still fresh in everybody's mind, and Packers were losing money back then. I mean, it just when the market really started to do that, and I think you do have to shut it down on the consumer level. Somebody's got to say no.
Yeah.
I think before you really see it top. And I mean, just on a personal level, I haven't really scaled back a lot of my beef intake. Like it just really hasn't happened. So I don't know what that says about the state of the economy.
It's just so hard on the consumer level, right? It's just like, if a quarter pounder goes from $3 to $4, it's just hard to ration.
Right.
Yeah, they still buy that. Yeah. Well, consumer spending is still going. I mean, it's still up, right? Like we're not seeing a drop in consumer spending.
Yeah, I will say taking a family of 5 to the restaurant is ridiculous now.
It's gotten up there a a little bit.
Yeah. We still go, but we're backing off. So
yeah. We're rationing. We're rationing.
Yeah, we're rationing.
We're trying to do our part.
Yeah, we make the kids get less. Yeah.
Oh, it's good stuff. Well, we kind of touched on all of it there, guys. So we'll put a bow on the week. It's everybody's favorite time. Bri, Fun Fact Friday. What do you got for us, buddy?
Thanks, Dan. Happy Friday, everybody. Last week I brought up how we finally made it to spring. Today we'll talk a little bit about spring break. According to my readings, it all began in 1938 when the Colgate swim coach brought his team to Fort Lauderdale to train, and the rest is history. Now more than 500,000 college students flee to Florida, Texas, Mexico, and so forth to celebrate a week of no classes. The beer consumption is insane. In a week's time, 1.5 million gallons of beer is consumed. That's about enough to fill 3.5 Olympic-sized pools. Yeah, inspired by the 1980s movie. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Cannonball Run. Students took that to heart and would race to Florida, making nonstop switching drivers along the way to get there as fast as possible. Here are some of the weirdest lost and found items: prosthetic limbs, a tuba, a live lobster, and someone's grandma's ashes. Here are some of the more bizarre arrests: attempting to ride an alligator, trying to steal a hotel lobby fountain, and someone who was partying in Key West tried to swim to Cuba, but that did not happen.
I think I know that guy. Yeah.
Las Vegas is trying to get into the mix, hosting Spring Broke, knowing that most college students don't have a lot of money, so they're offering cheap rooms, cheap drinks, and cheap chaos. Now Cancun is trying to offer Spring Break to the students that never get old, the 40-year-olds that want to still continue to Spring Break. They're offering stuff in Cancun, so Rylan, you can start doing your keg stands there in Cancun whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
And lastly, this one's kind of up Rylan's island alley as well. Hotel. Sorry, my phone was ringing as a customer was calling there. Excuse me on that. Hotels have to remind all their college students not to try to flush beer cans and liquor bottles down the toilet. So, little inside joke with 17th floor. So,
yeah, it's the 17th floor.
Must be Southern Illinois.
Oh, geez, we're gonna get some hate mail on that one.
That's where my brother Jason went, so he's not here, so I can say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, that's good stuff. Hope everybody has a safe and enjoyable spring break. I know a lot of people are getting out of town there, so it should be good. Hope everybody makes it back all right. We just came into the open. We got May corn down 7, 443 is the last. May soybeans down 6.5 at 10 and a quarter. And May Chicago wheat's down 11 now at 521. We got a couple days left. Special offer here. Jack will have more info in the outro, but we got a special deal we've been running for about a month or so for new clients of AgYield. Big report on Monday. Still time to visit. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call. And appreciate everybody that tunes in on a daily basis. We hope you enjoyed the show. We certainly have a lot of fun putting it on for you. If you wouldn't mind, throw us a like and certainly subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything to do so. It'll keep you up to speed on everything that's going on with AgYield. So again, thanks to everybody that tunes in every day. We're doing it live when the markets are open on X, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live, 8:15 Central Time. One thing to note, we will on Monday be back with an additional bonus War Room edition with the report. Our comments on the report, it'll be at 11:20. So be sure to put that on your calendar and tune in. And hope everybody has a great weekend. And we look forward to talking to you again next week.
At AgYield, we know that farmers are constantly confronted by new challenges, and 2025 is no exception. Markets are volatile, margins are shrinking, and lender confidence is in free fall. Farmers need industry support now more than ever, which is why we are offering something truly unprecedented. From now until April 1st, new AgYield clients can access our full suite of consulting services and cutting-edge technology at 50% off. This is more than a promotion. It's our way of extending a hand of support to farmers when they need it most. From precision grain marketing to innovative risk management strategies, we're committed to protecting your farm's profitability and building a stronger, more sustainable future. And together, we can weather the storm ahead. Visit us today at agyield.com or call 855-266-6241 to get started. Terms and conditions apply. Check out the video description to learn more.